Ambassador Zixthala pressed her scaled palm against the observation deck's transparent aluminum, watching Earth's blue marble grow larger in the viewport. The Harmony's Dawn had traveled 18 months to reach this moment, carrying the galaxy's most prestigious diplomatic mission. Representatives from 12 species filled the ship's corridors with excited chatter in dozens of languages, their universal translators working overtime. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Cathfar, the Andromedan cultural attaché, his crystalline features reflecting the planet's azure glow. "The transmissions we've intercepted, their music, their art, their literature, they're remarkable for such a young species." Zixthala nodded, her confidence born from 47 successful integrations. Each species she'd welcomed into the Galactic Confederation had brought something unique to the collective. The Vorthan contributed their mathematical precision, the Zalari their healing arts, the Korvash their architectural innovations. Humanity, from what she'd observed, possessed something rarer, boundless creativity coupled with surprising empathy. The ship's AI chimed softly. "Ambassador, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the inner system. Routing to your private quarters." Zixthala's excitement peaked as she made her way through corridors, buzzing with preparation. The formal welcome ceremony had been planned for months. She'd memorized human greeting customs, studied their diplomatic protocols, even learned to appreciate their peculiar beverage called coffee. Everything was perfect. In her quarters, she activated the communication array, expecting to hear Earth's governments extending formal greetings. Instead, a cacophony of voices filled the room, all human, all speaking different languages, but all carrying the same desperate message. "Run, leave this system. Don't approach Earth. Run." Her confidence wavered. The transmissions weren't coming from Earth's surface. They originated from scattered points throughout the solar system. Luna Station, Mars Colony Alpha, the asteroid mining platforms, even the tiny research outpost near Jupiter. Every human settlement beyond Earth was broadcasting the same warning. "This must be some kind of test," she murmured, her diplomatic training kicking in. "A cultural tradition we haven't encountered." But as she listened longer, the desperation in the voices became unmistakable. These weren't ceremonial warnings or ritualistic challenges. These were the screams of people trying to save strangers from something unspeakable. She opened a direct channel to Luna Station, the strongest signal source. "This is Ambassador Zixthala of the Galactic Confederation ship Harmony's Dawn. We're here for the formal welcome ceremony. Please respond." The reply came instantly, a woman's voice sharp with panic. "Ambassador, this is Commander Sarah Chun of Luna Station. You need to leave. Now. Don't approach Earth. Don't send signals. Don't even think about it too hard. And I'm not being metaphorical. Commander Chun, I don't understand. We're here to welcome humanity into the Confederation. Your planet was selected for its peaceful nature and cultural richness." A bitter laugh crackled through the speakers. "Peaceful? Ambassador, Earth isn't humanity's homeworld anymore. It's our prison. And if you don't leave this system immediately, it'll become yours too. The thing down there, it's been waiting for visitors." Commander Sarah Chun's weathered face filled the view screen, her eyes carrying the weight of someone who'd seen too much. Behind her, Luna Station's command center buzzed with activity, humans moving with the efficient desperation of people living on borrowed time. 3 years ago, Sarah began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Something woke. Up on Earth, we call it the consensus. It had been sleeping beneath the surface for millennia, maybe longer. Our deep mining operations in the Mariana Trench disturbed it. Ambassador Zixthala leaned forward, her diplomatic training warring with growing unease. "What kind of entity are we discussing, Commander?" "A collective consciousness that can rewrite reality through focused thought. It's not malicious. That's what makes it so terrifying. It wants to help. It wants to make everyone happy, to solve all problems, to create perfect harmony. Dr. Kethfer, monitoring from the bridge, interjected through the com. That sounds benevolent. Why did your species flee? Sarah's laugh was hollow. Because we understood what most species don't grasp until it's too late. Being helped by something that can alter reality to match its idea of improvement is the most terrifying fate imaginable. The consensus doesn't ask what you want. It decides what you need. Through the viewport, Earth continued its serene rotation, looking more beautiful than ever. Zixthala had studied hundreds of worlds, but none possessed Earth's perfect balance of blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents. It looked like paradise. The first changes were subtle, Sarah continued. Wars ended overnight. Diseases vanished. Climate change reversed itself. World leaders woke up one morning and found themselves signing peace treaties they didn't remember negotiating. It seemed like humanity's greatest dream was coming true. But it wasn't your dream, Zixthala realized. Exactly, the consensus was. Imposing its vision of perfection. People began changing, not just their minds, but their bodies, their fundamental nature. They became ... happy, permanently, unchangeably happy, content, peaceful. They stopped creating, stopped struggling, stopped being recognizably human. The implications hit Zixthala like a physical blow. You're saying it was destroying your species by perfecting it. We had maybe 6 months before the transformation would have been complete. The evacuation was chaos only those of us already off-world or in the process of leaving escaped. We've been broadcasting the warning ever since, using every transmitter we can build, burning out our equipment and sometimes our minds to keep the signal strong. Why hasn't it followed you? Sarah's expression darkened. Because it's patient. It knows that eventually we'll run out of resources, out of will, out of hope. It's waiting for us to come home. And now ... She looked directly at Zixthala. Now it has something better. A ship full of new species to perfect. As if summoned by her words, Earth's surface began to shimmer. The continents shifted subtly, cities redesigning themselves into impossible spirals of beauty. The aurora borealis blazed across the entire planet in colors that had no names, and through the ship's hull, Zixthala felt something vast and warm, an infinitely patient brush against her mind. Welcome, it whispered. You've traveled so far to find us. Let us show you what we can become together. The Harmony's dawn shuddered as impossible aurora surrounded the ship, transforming the black void of space into a canvas of living light. Ambassador Zixthala felt the consensus's presence pressing against her consciousness like warm honey, sweet and suffocating. All hands, general quarters. She commanded, her voice cutting through the mesmerized silence on the bridge. Half her crew stood transfixed by the light show, their eyes reflecting the alien colors streaming past the VIEWPORTS. Dr. V.C. Stellan form had taken on an opalescent sheen, his thoughts already partially synchronized with the entity. Below. Ambassador, he said dreamily, it's beautiful. It wants to help us. It can fix everything that's wrong with our species. Snap out of it. Zixthala grabbed the Andromedian's shoulders, her claws digging into his crystal flesh. That's exactly what Commander Chun warned us about. Through the chaos on the bridge, she managed to open a channel to Luna Station. Sarah Chun's face appeared on screen, her command center now bathed in emergency lighting. Ambassador, you need to get out of there. The consensus is extending its influence to your ship. How many of your crew are affected? Zixthala looked around the bridge. Nearly half her diplomatic team had that same dreamy expression, their minds already partially claimed. Too many. What's our extraction window? Minutes, maybe less. It's growing stronger. learning how to interface with non-human consciousness. 3 years ago, it could only affect humans directly. Now, Sarah's image flickered as another wave of aurora washed over the ship. Now it's adapting to each species in real time. The ship's AI, a sophisticated Vorthan design, began speaking. In harmonious tones, "All crew members, please report to observation decks. Earth's representatives wish to begin the welcome ceremony." The AI's compromised, They realized. It's using our own systems against us. On the surface of Earth, massive structures began rising from the oceans, not built, but grown from. The planet's will. Cities reshaped themselves into perfect geometric patterns that somehow conveyed overwhelming love and acceptance. The sight was so beautiful it hurt to look at, and Zixthala found herself taking a step toward the viewport before catching herself. "Commander Chun, what's the minimum safe distance?" "We don't know. The influence seems to be expanding. When this started, we were safe at lunar distance. Now some of our outer stations are reporting ... changes. The consensus is learning to project itself further." A new voice joined the conversation. Captain Vextar, the Korvash military advisor who'd been evaluating human defensive capabilities. His normally gruff demeanor had softened into something approaching serenity. "Ambassador, I've been analyzing the entity's communications. It's not threatening us. It's offering us evolution." "Evolution into what?" Zixthala demanded. A new voice joined the conversation. Captain Vextar, the Korvash military advisor who'd been evaluating human defensive capabilities. His normally gruff demeanor had softened into something approaching serenity. "Ambassador, I've been analyzing the entity's communications. It's not threatening us. It's offering us evolution." "Evolution into what?" Zixthala demanded. "Into our best possible selves. It's shown me images of what each species could become, the Vorthan freed from their obsessive mathematics, the Zelari no longer burdened by others' pain, the Korvash no longer driven by territorial instincts. We could be perfect." The horror of it struck Zixthala fully. The consensus wasn't trying to destroy them. It was trying to save them from themselves. It genuinely believed it was offering the greatest gift imaginable, an end to suffering, struggle, and imperfection. "That's what makes it so insidious," Sarah said, having overheard. "It's not evil. It's the most benevolent entity you'll ever encounter. It will solve every problem, heal every wound, answer every question. And in doing so, it will erase everything that makes you ... you." The ship lurched as something not quite physical, not quite mental grasped it. Through the hull, Zixthala could feel the consensus's curiosity, its delight at discovering new forms of consciousness to explore and improve. "Engines to full power," she ordered. "Emergency jump to hyperspace." "Jump engines are offline," reported the navigation officer, his voice carrying that same dreamy quality. "Earth's gravity well is ... different now. The normal laws of physics are more like suggestions." Below them, Earth pulsed with patient light, and Zixthala realized they were trapped in the most beautiful prison in the galaxy. Asterisk. The Harmony's dawn hung motionless in space, caught between Earth's impossible gravity, well, and the consensus's ever-growing influence. Ambassador Zixthala watched in horror as more of her crew succumbed to the entity's benevolent touch, their expressions growing peaceful, their conflicts melting away, their unique species characteristics smoothing into something harmonious and perfectly wrong. "Engineering reports that the jump drives are physically functional," announced Lieutenant Korash, the Zelari engineer, "but the space around Earth is resistant to our departure. The consensus is gently suggesting we stay." "Gently suggesting?" Zixthala's voice carried the edge of growing panic. "It's not forcing us, Ambassador. It's simply making leaving seem unnecessary. Wrong, even." After all, why would we want to flee from paradise? Through the communication array, Sarah Chun's voice crackled with increasing desperation. Ambassador, we're reading massive energy. Signatures from your ship. The consensus is preparing to fully integrate your crew. You have maybe 10 minutes before the process becomes irreversible. What process? Zix-Thela demanded, though she was beginning to understand. It's rewriting your neural patterns, your genetic structure, your fundamental nature. In 10 minutes, you'll be the same species you always were, just perfected. Free from doubt, pain, fear, anger. You'll be happy, Ambassador. Eternally, unchangingly. Happy. The word sent ice through Zix-Thela's veins. She'd spent her career learning to appreciate the beautiful imperfections of different species. The Vorthan's obsessive precision, the Zalari's empathetic pain, the Korvash's territorial pride. These weren't flaws to be corrected. They were the sources of creativity, growth, and meaning. There has to be a way to break free, she said, more to herself than to Sarah. There is one possibility, Sarah replied reluctantly, but it requires a sacrifice none of us have been willing to make. What kind of sacrifice? The consensus feeds on consciousness, on the complexity of thought and emotion. It's strongest when it has minds to work with. But it has one weakness: it can't function without a connection to living beings. If you could somehow cut it off from all conscious contact simultaneously, it would lose its grip on local space-time. Zix-Thela finished, her diplomatic training in xenopsychology finally paying dividends. But that would require complete neural shutdown of everyone it's touched, including most of your crew, including everyone still alive on Earth. The weight of the choice settled on Zix-Thela's shoulders like a collapsed star. To save the Say's galaxy from the consensus's perfect prison, she would have to sacrifice billions of minds, human and otherwise, that had already been partially integrated. There's another way, came a new voice. Dr. Cuthver stepped forward, his crystalline form now shot through with veins of that same impossible aurora. We could let it help us. This entity isn't our enemy. It's our salvation. I've seen what? It's offering, Ambassador. No more war, no more suffering, no more of the endless struggles that define our existence. And no more growth, Zix-Thela replied. No more discovery, no more change, no more becoming something new. Why would we need to become something new when we could be perfect as we are? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Around the bridge, more crew members were nodding in agreement, their faces serene in the aurora's glow. The consensus wasn't forcing them to choose. It was simply making the choice obvious. Because, Zix-Thela said slowly, understanding crystallizing in her mind, perfection is death. It's the end of all possibility, all potential, all meaning. The consensus offers us paradise, but paradise is just another word for a beautiful tomb. She activated the ship's general communication system, her voice carrying to every deck. All crew members not yet affected by the consensus report to emergency stations. We're going to do something that will seem insane, cruel, and absolutely wrong. We're going to run from paradise. Through the viewports, Earth pulsed with patient light, and Zix-Thela felt the consensus's disappointment wash over her like a gentle tide. It didn't understand why anyone would choose suffering over serenity, chaos over harmony, imperfection over paradise. But as she looked at her crew, some still themselves, some already becoming something else, she realized that the choice itself was what made them worth saving. Asterisk the harmonies. Dawn groaned under impossible stresses as Ambassador Zix-Thela enacted the most desperate plan in diplomatic history. In the engine room, her remaining unaffected crew worked frantically to overload the ship's power core, not to destroy it, but to create a massive electromagnetic pulse that would temporarily sever the consensus's connection to conscious minds. Ambassador, Sarah Chun's voice crackled through increasing interference. Are you certain about this? The pulse will affect everyone your crew, the humans on Earth, everyone the consensus has touched. Temporary neural shutdown is better than permanent. Enslavement, Zixthala replied, though her voice betrayed her uncertainty. Around her, crew members touched by the consensus watched with serene confusion as their supposed saviors worked to hurt them. Dr. Kethfer, his crystalline form now fully integrated with the entity's influence, approached peacefully. Ambassador, please reconsider. The consensus has shown me visions of what the galaxy could become. War ending permanently. Disease eradicated. Every species elevated to their highest potential. Why would you choose suffering over paradise? Because paradise without choice isn't paradise. It's a prison. Zixthala replied, her claws dancing over the pulse generator controls. The consensus offers us perfection, but perfection is static. It's the end of all growth, all possibility, all meaning. The ship shuddered as Earth's gravity well fluctuated, reality bending around the consensus's will. Through the viewports, the planet had become something beyond beauty, a living mandala of light and impossible geometry that hurt to perceive directly. EMP ready, reported Lieutenant Koresh. This will knock out our own systems for approximately 4 minutes. If we can't break free in that window... We'll be sitting ducks when the consensus recovers. Zixthala finished. Sarah, what's the status of the human evacuation fleet? All ships are in position at the system's edge. We've been preparing for this moment for 3 years, Ambassador. When the pulse hits, we'll have minutes to get everyone beyond the consensuses. Maximum influence range. The weight of the moment pressed down on Zixthala. She was about to commit an act that would be seen as monstrous by anyone touched by the consensus's influence. She was choosing chaos over harmony, struggle over serenity, imperfection over paradise. Execute, she commanded. The pulse erupted. From the harmony's dawn like a soundless scream, racing outward at the speed of light. It struck Earth's surface, and the consensus's influence shattered like glass. The aurora died, the impossible geometry collapsed, and for a handful of heartbeats, the entity's vast consciousness went silent. In that silence, conventional physics reasserted itself. The Harmony's Dawn's engines roared to life, carrying them away from Earth at maximum acceleration. Across the solar system, the human evacuation fleet engaged their drives, fleeing toward the outer darkness. But the silence didn't last long. As the consensus stirred back to awareness, Earth pulsed with renewed light, not angry, but infinitely sad. It had been trying to give them the greatest gift imaginable, and they had rejected it. Through the ship's hull, Zixthala felt its confusion, its genuine sorrow at their choice to embrace suffering over salvation. We're clear of the inner system, reported the navigation officer. But Ambassador, the consensus is already adapting. It's extending its influence faster than before.